So Kelly, as we sit here today, I would like to know where you're calling from.
I am actually in Aurora, Colorado.
Okay. Is that where you was raised?
No, I was actually born in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Salt Lake City, Utah. Now
hmm
you're in, okay, now you're in Colorado. So just start. Let's go back to your past. Let's start with where you come from, your upbringing. What made you become an author and a publisher?
So, ever since I was a kid, I've always liked stories, right? I love stories. I would love when people would read to me, like in school, the teachers would read stories, movies. I fell in love with movies at a really young age. And I think, it was just an escape, right? I can remember like when Star Wars came out, when I was, I don't know, 12, maybe 10 or 12 when that movie came out, and it blew my mind. And I just knew that I always wanted to tell stories. And so I've always written things down. I have like a book of short stories and poems and things that I've always written, but I just never really had the courage to maybe publish them or let somebody else read them. So they were just something that I'd always done. I've got journals. So writing's always just been something that I've done. Publishing something was always a dream, and I always felt that it was out of reach because I didn't understand the publishing world and thought that you had to have a traditional publisher. And so, knowing this, that always kind of stopped me from pursuing it. But one day, I don't even know what gave me that drive. I wrote a story. Somebody had told me, write what you know. If you really want to write, Kelly, just write what you know. And so I did. I wrote my first book. It was called You Sound White. And not knowing anything about being published, I started pitching publishers to get this book published because I'm thinking that's the only way that you do it. You go the traditional way, like, the Stephen Kings and the Toni Morrisons and the Anne Rices of the world. I figured that was the way that you published a book. And I didn't understand the industry. And so very naive, not understanding what to do, how to do it, and having nobody to guide me. And so as I started down this journey to be this published author, I had delusions of grandeur because I just knew that I had the manuscript, right? I even had it edited. I had an editor look at it and edit it for me. So I had the manuscript, and I just knew that it was just a matter of finding a publisher and getting it published. And, a month later, I was going to be on book tour, and I was going to be in front of Oprah and in her book club. And, I was going to be this famous author. This is honestly what I thought because I didn't know any better. And so I fell prey to a predatory publisher. As I was pitching my book, I got a lot of no's. I pitched agents and publishers, and my pitch letter wasn't very good either. I didn't really know what I was doing, right? So I got a lot of no's. I got some feedback, but I got a lot of no's. But I got this one publisher that said yes, and they really gaslighted me. Oh, they told me that this book was going to be phenomenal. I was going to go on book tour. They had all of these marketing things all lined up and scheduled for me. They say they put it through another edit. They found me a cover for the book, and it really felt legit because I'm like, somebody wants my book, and just all the things that I thought were going to happen, this man told me was going to happen. And after about 2 weeks of just gassing me up and getting me all excited, he hit me with how many books are you going to buy, Kelly? And I was like, well, what do you mean? You're the publisher. You buy the books, right? And he's like, well, I've got the marketing down. I'm investing in all the marketing, but I need, you to make a small investment and just buy the books. And it's only going to be $700. And so, kind of hesitating, but him really kind of preying on me being naive and really saying, $700 is going to stop you from your dream and really filling me up, I gave this man $700. And shortly after I did that, he disappeared. He ghosted me. He stopped returning my emails. He stopped returning any phone calls that we had. He just was gone. And he had my book. The book was published on his platform under his publishing company, but I had no access to it. So when I tried to publish it myself, I couldn't do it on Amazon. They shut me down. I was kind of dead in the water, and I was completely ashamed and defeated because I had bragged to everybody about me being published. And, even my sister's like, I don't know. And I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. I'm going to be published. You couldn't tell me anything, right? I just knew. And the opposite happened. And so after it happened, I didn't say anything to anybody. I was so ashamed. I could not believe I just gave this man $700. And I couldn't bring myself to admit it to myself or to anybody. So for a long time, I just did nothing. I just did nothing. I did a lot of crying in the closet because I'm a private crier, but I didn't do anything. I felt defeated, but I still wanted to be this published author, right? And I had worked so hard on this book, and how could I just let this guy take it from me? So after a while, I decided to try to get my book back. And not knowing what to do, I started reaching out to literary attorneys. Now, I'm an unknown. The book is unknown, and so nobody's going to really take my case. And all the attorneys told me this, like, who are you? You're nobody. But one attorney, I wish I could remember his name, one attorney, he took pity on me, and he actually called me and he said, look, this is what I advise you to do. He told me to send a cease and desist letter. He gave me the template of what to say, and he told me to reach out to the Better Business Bureau. He said, that's a start. That's really all you can do at this point, right? And that's what I did. I used his template. He even told me I could use his name, right? And so I used his name, I used his template, and lo and behold, about a month later, my book was released to me. I got an email from Amazon saying the book was mine. And so I had my book back. But at this point, I still didn't know what to do. I still felt a little defeated. This kind of whole book author thing journey just rubbed me the wrong way. I just really had a bad taste in my mouth, and I felt really, really stupid. So this time I decided that I was going to retreat, lick my wounds, and try to figure out what to do. So the first thing I decided to do was publish myself. I had looked into all the different types of publishing, and I figured out that independent publishing, self-publishing was the best route for me because I wasn't going to ask for a seat at anybody's table anymore. I had already been burned once. I wasn't going to get burned again. So I started Bright-Headed Publishing. And somebody said, well, why bright-headed? Because my name, Kelly, means bright-headed. So Bright-Headed Publishing. So I started Bright-Headed Publishing. I decided to make it a real LLC, and I started it, and I published my first book, which is You Sound White. And I published it and I put it out there, and I still didn't really know what I was doing, but the book was out there. And, I was trying to market it best I could and just do what I had to work with. And I started a podcast. And this podcast, I wanted it to help others. I wanted to help others promote their book as well as help me. So I started interviewing authors, and this podcast was just kind of took on a life of its own, where that was all I was doing. So I wasn't writing, I wasn't working on my stuff, I didn't have any boundaries. I didn't want to tell anybody no. So anybody who approached me who wanted to be on the podcast, I said yes to. I must have recorded with over 100 authors. And I burnt myself out because I didn't have any boundaries. I wasn't strategic. I was saying yes to everybody. I was trying to people please. Wrong strategy. And I had nothing left for me. So I retreated again. Not to mention, I got a horrible review on my book, which, oh my God, I didn't know what to do now. Now somebody doesn't like my book. I was just, again, I'm defeated. I retreated again. So I stopped the podcast. I pulled the book off the shelf, and I didn't do anything again, but I kept the LLC. So I thought, what do I do now? And in all of this, if I'm talking about my life, I've been somebody that's always kind of dealt with body image and dealing with their weight and losing weight and gaining weight and whatever all of that mess is. And this is around COVID, so now we're eating our feelings, and so we're gaining weight. And I ballooned to about 275 at my heaviest, not feeling good about myself. And just, I can remember all of the many times I had tried to lose weight, knowing what to do, the right way to do it, and all of that good stuff, but still ultimately doing it for all the wrong reasons. And in COVID coming and really having to kind of face who we are as people, because now we're all locked in, I ended up writing my second book, which is called Wait for It. And it's a play on words. It's WEIGHT. And Wait for It isn't the before weight loss or the after. It is the messy middle. It is the fanatical moments that we have during weight loss. It is just taking it just too far and doing it for all the wrong reasons and trying to shrink to be accepted, and in all of that, losing ourselves. And so the book, when I started to write it, it was fiction, but it turned out to be very close to home, to where when I started reading it back to myself, I was like, man, this woman in this story's got a lot of issues with body image. And it turned out that that woman in the story was in fact me, but it was a way to remove myself from the situation so I could look at it and then figure out what I was going to do, what Kelly was going to do. And it's weird because it was therapy, and which really told me, wow, words can heal. So it was my therapy. So I never really intended to publish Wait for It, but I did. It's fiction. I put it out there as fiction, but I did go ahead and I published it, really kind of for me, and hope, maybe it could resonate with somebody and help somebody. So I published Wait for It, but I didn't do anything with it. I just put it out there. I decided that I was going to rebrand and relaunch Bright Headed Publishing, because I'd been thinking about it for a very long time, but I wanted to be intentional, mindful, and strategic. I wanted to take everything that I had learned the first time around, the second time around. I wanted to take everything that I had learned on this journey that I had been on, this spiritual journey as well. So I started doing yoga and meditating and working out. And the reason why I got really serious about my weight loss was because the doctor was like, you're unhealthy and take all this medication. And that was the deal breaker for me. It was no longer about trying to look cute in a selfie or trying to get to a certain size. It was about literally my health and being able to be around for my grandchildren and live a healthy life. So my mindset changed. And when my mindset changed, everything about the way that I went about things changed. I became much more mindful, much more intentional, much more focused, and more motivated. But more than anything than all of that, what I learned in all of this is consistency. You just have to be consistent to make anything work. And that was a big, tough, hard lesson that I learned, which brings me to Bright Headed Publishing for the third time. I relaunched at the beginning of 2025. I came out with the audiobook for Wait for It. I rebranded and redid You Sound White, put a new cover on it, kind of put a new spin on it, and came out with both the books, and then decided to start doing very intentional things and having a mission and a brand behind Bright Headed Publishing. So my mission and my brand is to help underrepresented voices get their words heard. And so the first thing I decided to do was just start putting out information, tips, tricks, free content that anybody needs to know that wants to try to navigate the indie author journey. So I, started putting out information that I had come across that I found helpful, but that had taken me a long time to find. And I don't want somebody else to go through what I went through. So that was kind of my mantra, like, I'm going to help others, but I'm going to be very strategic and intentional. So I started putting out free information as well as promoting myself. And then I decided that I was going to start the Author's Mic, which is just a 5 to 10 minute little mini podcast where it comes out 3 days a week, and 2 days is tips and tricks and info, and 1 day I highlight an author, a creative in this space. I definitely share this platform with others so that they can come onto the Author's Mic and they can share their journey. They can, talk about their book. They can read from their book, whatever they'd like to do. I just want to help others promote. Because I'm a firm believer in stop asking for a seat at the table, build your own table, and then you can invite others to join you So that's what I'm doing. And then I really started kind of diving in and learning how to market the book strategically, and so that I can help others market their book. So I'm kind of using myself as the blueprint slash guinea pig as I build the infrastructure for Bright Headed Publishing, because my long-term goal is to help others get their words out there, and try to help them do it without breaking the bank, without preying on anybody, without stealing from anybody, knowing that I have to make a living doing this, and that if you invest your money, I get it, that they want something of value back, and so that's what I want to bring them. So that's what I'm working on currently right now. And then I started a book club that's called the Indie Reader Society, the IRS, and it's a book club where we encourage indie authors to pitch their book to the book club, so that you can get your book in front of readers that you may have never seen or heard before. Especially if you've never even thought about pitching a book club, it's another great way to market your book. Because I started the book club, we start with my book, but then we're open to other indie authors. So everything that I have done has been very intentional, not only to promote me and my brand, but to always help others and know that there's enough for all of us. And that's kind of my mantra. I really want to help others get their words out there, help other people, avoid the pitfalls that I went through, as well as promote myself, my brand, maybe sell a book or two, and hopefully my words will resonate with someone. And that is a lot. So I am going to stop at this point and take some water.
Go ahead and get you a drink of water. I have got to admit that you answered a lot of the questions that I wanted to ask. Yes, very much so. I got a clear view. I have a clear view, and you have a clear view, is what I see.
Well,
of exactly what you're trying to do.
It's taken me a long time to get here. It has not been an easy journey or a quick journey or anything like that. It's been, one thing I know that when it comes to growth is, you have to be willing to sit down with yourself and really admit some of the hard truths that you may not want to admit to yourself, so that you can really start to make some serious changes in your life. And so you are probably your biggest critic. And I was definitely my biggest critic. And a lot of the things that I didn't do was out of this fear of not being accepted, fear of what somebody might say, and knowing that I can't even control other people's actions. So I had to try to get rid of that. And a lot of times when I do stuff, I'll be honest, I step out on faith. I just, I put it out there. I just step out on faith, and what happens, happens. There are no failures. They are all learning lessons.
Got it. Anybody that's listening out there, that is a learning opportunity. That is something that we should all strive to do and to be, and to just kind of hone our belief systems on, is walk by faith, not by sight. Kelly, you have started over and over and over again. Like that's been it's been nothing to you. You did it, right? That's behind you now. And if you have to do it again, you would do it again. So what continues to motivate you?
A couple things motivate me. Number one is I decided that if I did this, I told myself if I did this time, that I promised myself that, number one, I was going to be consistent. And so I told myself that I was going to make a contract with myself, and it's one that I just refuse to break. And that is consistency in everything that I do in all aspects of my life. I made this promise to myself, and so far I've held it. Consistency is tough, but I'm doing it. I am a firm believer in affirmations. And so I used to listen to affirmations, and they would be okay. It wasn't really believable for me. So what I started doing was I started taking affirmations, kind of tweaking them and making them my own. And then I started recording them in my own voice. and I listen to them every morning. I have like an hour's worth of me saying affirmations to me, and I listen to them every morning. I just put my headphones on and I listen to them. So that keeps me motivated, especially on days where I think it's quiet, maybe nobody's listening, and why am I doing this? Social media is really great for that, for kind of making you think that nobody's listening because maybe you don't have the likes and the views, but I have to tell myself I'm not in it for likes and views. So I really self-motivate myself, but I've also learned that motivation will get you there, but it will not keep you there. You have to be consistent. And so I just got real with myself. Um, I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to have a publishing company. I told myself I'm not asking for a seat at the table anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm going to build my own table. I'm not gonna wait for somebody to invite me to a book fair. I'm gonna maybe have my own book fair. I'm not going to beg a book club to read my book. I'm gonna start my own book club. I'm going to do things to create space for me because who else is going to do it? And it took me so long to come to that point. But when I say it out loud, I'll be like, yeah, Kelly, you got to be on to something, right? I mean, and then invite others to join you. So on this journey that I'm on, I invite anybody to come along with me. If you want to, you know, I don't know how else to put it. I'm just like that. I enjoy helping other people. I enjoy helping myself. I don't know why we can't do it together. But when you're out here building something that's real, it takes time, right? It takes time. It's a definite grassroots effort. And so I have to remind myself, like when I'm posting or whatever, that, even the person that's got 1 million views started off with just one, right? Everybody
right.
starts from nothing.
That's
And
right.
you got to start somewhere. And so I remind myself of these things. I talk to myself in the mirror. I dance in the house alone to keep myself motivated. If I'm feeling down, I dance. I sing.
Mm.
I am my biggest cheerleader. I don't criticize myself anymore. I give myself grace. I have learned how to curb the negative chatter. I'm not saying doubt doesn't creep in, because trust me, doubt does creep in, but it's okay. I can doubt for a minute and then I like, oh yeah, that's not even true. And so it's every day that I do it, it becomes easier to now it's becoming easier to be like, what, I got this, even on days where it's quiet. And so I've even incorporated this into the author's mic because I want the journey to be realistic. And so when I talk on the author's mic, some of the things that I'll talk about is, what do you do if you say have a book signing and nobody comes? That's real. But I don't see anybody talking about these things. Every time I see people online, everybody's doing great and sales are up there. Nobody has bad days, which makes me wonder, am I the only one that has these bad days? Because nobody talks about it. And I would rather listen to somebody who's real with me. Like, yeah, you know what? I have bad days too. Yep. I have days where there's no sales. I have days where, it's quiet. It's okay. I'm not alone in this. I know I'm not alone in this. And so that's why I keep going.
I actually watched. Um, oh man, I watched one of your episodes, and the content is amazing. The content is amazing, and the fact that you have decided on your niche and decided to speak to the people that you really want to speak to, and you are giving them you're giving them the game. You're really giving them instruction. You're speaking to them directly. I know that your channel is going to grow
Well, thank
based on
you.
that alone.
And it's tough when you're starting out. It's tough because you see others in the same space and they just seem to be doing so well. And you're like, man, how do I get there? I'm doing everything. I'm posting. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing everything, and crickets. And so I'm here to tell you it's okay. It's everybody starts, you know, real growth, real sustainable growth takes time. And
Enjoy the crickets.
I equate it to being
Enjoy
a
the
gardener.
crickets.
Yes,
You
but
equ-
go
you
ahead.
equate it to what?
Being a gardener. I'm a master gardener. So
Okay.
as a gardener, I know that, and I tell myself this all the time. When I plant a seed, I don't yell at the seed to make it grow. I know 100% if I plant that seed and I do all the things I'm supposed to do, water it, take care of it, that it will sprout. It might take time. It might take 2 weeks, but I know that me yelling at it every day and is not going to make it grow any quicker. So that's how I kind of look at the business. I can't plant these seeds and then yell at them and make them grow any quicker than what they're supposed to grow. As long as I show up every day, remain consistent, keep my message the same, and just be honest in what I do, it will grow. And this, believe me, is what I tell myself on a daily basis. I believe it, and some days it's easier to believe than others. But I'm human, and so I think people want to see a real journey and what it really is like, rather than what it would be like once I get to wherever it is I'm trying to be. I don't know what that looks like. I just want to show you the journey and let you know that as an indie author, you are not alone. I see you, I hear you, I'm here to help you. You're not alone. I get it. We can build a community. We can help one another. And that's really what it's all about.
Kelly, let me ask you this. How niche down are you? Are there certain avatars for your community that you would like to join? Is it purpose-driven authors, fictional? Is it non-fictional? Who do you want in your community?
Well, I really look at underrepresented voices, and that to me is a broad umbrella. I guess when I think of underrepresented voices, I think of people that look like me, right? I think of African Americans. I think of people of color. I think of maybe women of color, even men of color, because there's not a lot of space for us in the author world. A lot of tables that are out there were not tables that were built for us, right, as a community. But I'm not so close-minded that I'm just closed to just us. I'm open to anybody who feels that they're underrepresented and that they don't know how to get their words out there, and they want to get their words out there and share their story. You don't have to have a certain genre. You don't have to have a certain niche. But I'm willing to help. I mean, I may not be the publisher for you or the person for you, but if I have some knowledge to point you in the right direction, I'm happy to give it to you. It's not about making a sale or getting a client from me. It's about making a connection, right? And then being able to pass that knowledge on to the next person so that we can build a really strong community, so that when somebody does come to me and I do charge for whatever it is I'm going to charge for, they know with confidence that, she's on it. She's honest. She does what she says she's going to do. She brings value to me. She's really helped me with my book. That is what I want to bring. That is what the business that I want to have. That's the community that I want to build. That's why I offer so much free stuff on my website. There's a lot of content that I've offered that's just free. Just go get it, download it, use it. And I've seen people take this free content and put it behind paywalls. And I could do that too, but that's not the message that I'm sending. I feel like if information's free, you should be able to get it for free. I get it when it comes to, trying to stretch your dollars and get your value. And, I understand it. I do. And I'm not here to rip off anybody, because I've been there. And so I know what that feels like. And so that's another driving motivator for me. I don't want others to go through what I went through. So if I can make your journey a little easier, then sure, why not? And you know what? Like I said, people don't even have to necessarily use me as the way to get their words out there, but they can definitely use the content that I'm giving to them to make the journey a little easier, especially the free stuff. Because if it's free, why not? Who doesn't like free?
That's right. Who doesn't like free? I want to say this. I want to say this about your link tree. It is the first link tree that I have seen that offers this much free stuff. Now, with that being said, it's not just free stuff, it's things that can totally be utilized. Like if you are an author and you go to Kelly Morgan's link tree, there's a list, there's so many things that she has set up for you to use as an author, and it's all free. Like it's templates.
Yeah, they're
And
templates.
yeah, so okay. I'm gonna let you explain.
So what I do is a lot of times, like one thing that I've noticed, okay, when I was doing my author journey the first time around, and I would be on somebody's website or listening to them talk on YouTube or whatever, and they would like be, dropping all these gems, all this great information. But then when it came time to put it into action, they put it behind a paywall, right? And I'd be like, oh man, I want, and I'm like, you know what? If I ever have the opportunity, I'm not going to do that. So now, for example, like on the author's mic, I might say, today we're going to learn how to pitch a podcast. Okay. And if you don't know how to pitch a podcast and you don't know what to say in your pitch, there's a free template on my link tree. You don't have to use it verbatim, but you can take it, tweak it, make it your own. It's a place to kind of start to give you an idea. Another thing all authors should have that is underutilized is a media kit. Media kit, not expensive. There's a template to show you how to make a media kit. If you have Canva, Canva's free. You can go on, make your media kit on Canva. The template's free. If you want to pitch a book club, I think that template's on there. It's free. If you want to know how to write a book and you want all the kind of technical stuff, like what platforms do I put it on? Do I need an ISBN? What is an ISBN? What's Ingram Spark? What's KDP? What are all these things that people talk about? All these acronyms, like what is going on? That guide, free. Download it. It's on my website, free. All of these things are free because when I give people information, the thing that used to always hang me up is you told me like what to do, but you didn't tell me how to do it, and I don't know how to do it. So that's a big thing for me, is I'm going to tell you what, but now I'm going to show you how, because I feel that information is useful. If I can give you a template to kind of guide you, great. If it gives you an idea and you take it and run with it, and perfect, because that's the whole idea, to help you on your journey so that you can do these things, right? So that you can market your book, so that you can get your book in front of the people who it will resonate with. That's the whole reason I think why people write books. I think that when most people write books, they are hoping that somebody's going to read this book and the words are going to resonate. They're going to enjoy the story. It's going to sweep them away or give them information, but it's going to bring that person value. I think that's what every author wants when they put their story out there. But you got to get it in front of the right people. And marketing is where most of us fall short. So a lot of the tips and tricks that I give are on marketing, because that's where a lot of authors fall short. And I'm a big believer in breaking the algorithm. So my big thing is marketing outside of social media, because I'm somebody that doesn't really like social media. I tolerate it, but I feel like, there's a whole nother marketing world to find readers outside the algorithm. So I'm really big on showing people how to do other things as well.
Oh, I totally resonate with just a lot of the things that you just said. Number one, the algorithm, getting off the algorithm, getting out of the whole computer, the realm. If you're Generation X or you're a boomer, reading, putting yourself in a room with a book, that was commonplace, right? Like you didn't have to have any any computers around. It's more so the younger generation. Um, but at this moment in time, there are still people who appreciate that. Just appreciate grabbing a book, grabbing. We don't really have newspapers anymore, physical newspapers, but just grabbing a book and going, somewhere and sitting on the couch in front of a fire and reading a book. There are still people out there like that.
Yeah. Who love a great summer read, or, I love the feel of a book. So I like a real book. I listen to audiobooks, but I love the feel of a real book.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if it's nostalgia or what, but same way, the same way that we've seen albums start making a comeback.
Yeah.
People really want to have the feel and the look of just nostalgia and things of that nature. But yes, also you just kind of mentioned just the niche of doing things and breaking things down, and being a part of a community. I think that is so important. I think that you building a community, you offering publishing, um, is so important. you know but if there's somebody's out there that can kind of understand what you're saying, feel what you're saying at the moment in time, how do they find you?
So the best way to find me is through the website, which is brightheadedpublishing.com. All one word, brightheadedpublishing.com. That's the quickest way. That gets you to my website. Once you get to my website, you can see the books. You can look at the author's mic. I have a blog, and or the link tree too. The link tree is on the website, and if you go to the link tree, that's where you can find the information for the IRS, the information for the author's mic as well. All of the templates, all the guides are on the link tree as well. So that's the best way to reach me. Like I said, I'm on social media, so I'm on all platforms. And so if somebody did leave me a message or a DM, I would eventually get back to you. I'm not on social media every day, but I will go on and check it because, like I said, I tolerate social media. I'm really big on, outside of the algorithm, but I will go on, to Facebook and all of that and check messages and whatnot, just because I have so much going on. But that's probably the best way to reach me.
Awesome. Kelly, what is the future? What does the future hold for Bright Headed Publishing?
So the future is very exciting. So like I said, I just launched the book club, the IRS, the Indie Reader Society. So if you are thinking, I want to join a book club, I want to support indie authors, consider joining the Indie Reader Society. So I just launched that. We're as of now, we're 1 week into it. We're reading my book, wait for it, and then we'll open it up to others. And obviously people, the club will pick. I'm actually working on a new book. So I am working on a children's book because I don't have a genre. So now I'm working on a series of children's book, and I'm incorporating gardening into this aspect. It's called Sunny's Garden. So it's going to be a series of books. And I'm just working with an illustrator right now. I didn't realize that it's really hard to put what I see up here on paper with an illustrator. I mean, I know what I think the characters should look like, but I didn't really understand the process because I've never done a children's book before. So I'm working on that, and my goal is to have that out by 2026. The goal is also to have set pricing and packages for people if they want to be published by Bright Headed Publishing, or if they want to a la carte services and use us for other things like marketing and whatnot. All of those things, I'll be ready to roll with that by 2026, by the beginning of the year. I don't want to roll with it now because I want to make sure that everything is set up. So I've really been, like I said, I've been very mindful and intentional about it this time. So I don't want to rush. And so I really want to do it right. So I gave myself until 2026. I think I'll be fully ready and confident that I shouldn't say if is not in my vocabulary, when I bring on that first author to publish, that they will really have confidence in a robust program, how we're going to get them out there, the different things that we can do to market, and how it works, and so that they'll be very clear. And that's kind of what I want. I want to be clear and intentional with everybody that I work with. However, if somebody wanted to speak with me now and like ask me questions or whatever, if I can help you, I am more than happy to help somebody if I can do it now.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. This is so amazing. I see progress. I see a bright future, bright-headed future, I guess I should say. But Kelly, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I see so much potential, and I appreciate what it is that you're doing. And I know people will latch on to you, and I would very much put the word out, and try to get some people up under your tutelage with your expertise. Like, I can just totally by this conversation tell that you know what you're doing and you know exactly where you're headed. So I commend that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate anybody that supports me and any way that I can support you and what you're doing. As a matter of fact, I don't see why you couldn't come on to the author's mic and share your journey, share your story, share your knowledge, because I'm sure you've got it. And I would love to have you. So, like I tell everybody, information's in the link tree. Go ahead and, hit me up, and, let's cross collaborate here.
There we go. There we go. There we go. So with that being said, Kelly, I'm gonna let the audience go. I'll talk to you on the back end behind the stages. But as far as they are concerned, we're gonna let you go. Anybody that wants to speak with Kelly Morgan, especially if you are an author. And I do have a few people that I would like to give her information to, just because I know, I'm a connector, and I would like to connect you with someone who has your best interest in mind. So I will be giving that information over to a few of the guests that I know personally. Fantastic. So with that being said, I'm going to let the audience go. And Kelly, if you have any last words, please display.
Yeah, just remember, you don't have to be polished to show up. You don't have to be perfect. And stop asking for permission. Build your own table.
There we go. There we go. All right. Peace out.